Draco Malfoy is an extremely underappreciated character within Harry Potter. I mean, especially in the films themselves. I mean, sometimes Draco's side storyline takes a little bit of a back seat. Of course, in the books, there is more time to explore characters and stories, which the film format doesn't allow for. But still, Draco deserved better. He does have his moments to shine within the series, but in movies that could really explore him like The Half-Blood Prince, they spent more time on this.
How about you?
Now, I especially like Draco because he's so conflicted. He's not all good or bad, he's somewhere in between. He's a little bit more complex than the rest of the characters. Tom Felton did a wonderful job portraying his internal struggle and how the character isn't so black or white.
How do you know what I am? Done things that would shock you. Trust me. I was chosen.
I always felt like he didn't have his moment to shine in the end, and specifically in the Battle of Hogwarts. He has that moment in the Room of Requirement where Harry turns back for him and saves his life, and there is that moment of pause where he isn't sure what he's gonna do. Is he gonna go back to his parents' side and the side of Voldemort, or stay where he is? I love this little moment, and I love how you can see without any dialogue how conflicted Draco is. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the original ending, and I understand why him and his family would just flee afterwards. But there is one change that almost happened in the films that would have taken Draco from conflicted villain to remorseful hero. That is, when Harry wakes up and comes to, he runs from a shocked Voldemort, and Draco at this point stands there. Now, what I'm talking about is a deleted scene where Draco doesn't stand there. Instead, he takes action, and in this moment, he throws his wand to Harry as Harry flees.
Potter!
Now, I did comment on this scene in a previous video I made about the Harry Potter scenes that should not have been cut, but I wanted to discuss this one a little bit further, because it would have given so much more meaning to that epilogue section of the films. If Draco would have done this, and they wouldn't have cut that scene, Draco would have been fully redeemed as a character. Now, I don't think this would have been an always forgiven moment between Harry and Draco. They would go on to live separate lives, but when we meet back in that epilogue scene, it would be that moment of recognition and the moment of understanding and respect between the two, rather than just showing Draco glance at Harry. It would have been great to see a subtle head nod, showing that respect, that understanding, and a reminder of what Draco's life could have been without Harry. It shows us more character development and completes a story arc completely. It comes to that conclusion, that realization, much more than the original, which has much more development happen off screen. Now, I understand why they went this way. It is more lifelike. But in this moment in the film, we as the audience already know Harry is alive. So it's no surprise to the audience whatsoever. So it'd be nice to include this little moment to surprise the audience and really bring some more emotion. Now, they may not have gone this direction because there was already so much going on in the story, and it would have happened within a quick second, when we as the audience probably needed a little bit longer of a scene to see that transformation of Draco. So let me tell you what I would have liked to see here. We are getting a little bit more into that fan fiction, but I like to put my own little spin on these things and reimagine them. So this is what I would have done with the end of Harry Potter if Draco had a different turn. Now, instead of Draco throwing the wand, we get the normal version, just slightly different. Voldemort realizes Harry's alive, the Death Eaters start fleeing, but instead of seeing Draco and his family fully leaving, we see Narcissa and Lucius running away, and Lucius calling, saying, "Come, Draco." Cut back to the normal story without ever having seen Draco leave. So there's that question in the air. Cut back to Harry and Voldemort, everything we normally see. Now, one of the only complaints I have with the final film, as wonderful and as great as it is, towards the end, it's extremely predictable. I know exactly what's going to happen from beat to beat. We all know from the first film that this is our ending, Harry and Voldemort. Now, I want to slightly change that. I want everything to take place as it normally does, but in that final moment when Harry and Voldemort are facing off and we've seen everything come into fruition, I want Harry to be overtaken by the sheer strength of Voldemort. Harry has faced him multiple times in the series, and always kind of gotten lucky. I want to show why Voldemort's so powerful, even in his weakened state. He's really no match, and especially for someone who's still a student. I want to show Voldemort's magical mastery and him dominating Harry. Harry should be at the end of the ropes, loses his wand, when who enters screen? None other than Draco Malfoy. He has his wand in his hand, and he takes that moment to show where his alliance truly stands. As he casts his first spell against Voldemort, there's a pause. Voldemort's taken back, and then we see Draco just take out his anger. He starts yelling and screaming at him as he throws spell after spell. how he manipulated his family, how he was forced to do horrible acts, how he turned him from a child to an instrument of murder. As he's being hit with these spells, Harry picks up his wand and joins along. Harry and Draco take down Voldemort together, the previous owner and the owner of the Elder Wand. The two of them give too many blows for Voldemort to handle. Voldemort's taken back, and as Harry gives Voldemort that final blow, Draco falls to his knees and breaks down into tears. We see a final long shot of Harry standing in the courtyard with a dead Voldemort, and Draco with his head in his hands, overcome with emotion. Now this is obviously a different version of what we got. Some fans won't like it because they only want to see Harry and Voldemort. But if you look back to the first movie, it's always been about Harry and Draco and Harry and Voldemort, his adversary in school and out.
Scared, Potter?
You wish.
I think we would have to spend a little bit more attention in the films on Draco's storyline, but this could be a wonderful end to it. And I think it really brings the character's arc to a close in a really emotional way, both for Draco and the audience. I know this series is Harry's story. I mean, it's called Harry Potter, but Draco deserved better, and honestly, a much more interesting end. So thank you for listening, and let me know what you thought of my ending. I kinda think it would be really interesting to see. Not necessarily better, but interesting. As always, thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos in my recasting of Harry Potter. I just actually recasted the founders. And as always, thank you to my patrons, Adam Gray, Jeremy Jacobs, Jenny Edwards, Gabe Marshana, Colleen West, Marco Perry, Roland, Aidan McShane, Shalon Hudson, Kieran Hunt, George Conan, Brandon Warner, Sweevy, Alex Tao, Derek B. Bell, Jacob Wolf, Alexander Gardulo, Rachel Kilker, James Rogers, Archie Steffen, and Greg R. Davidson. Thank you for your support, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.